So I use LinkedIn every day. LinkedIn is a huge part of what I do for my image, for recruiting. Um, I look at LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's probably different for managers as it would be for a relationship manager. For a relationship manager, a lot of people say you don't want to connect with everybody. Just connect with the people that are you want to network with, or the people that you know. I disagree about that with territory managers and with division managers. I think we need to connect with as many people as we can, as many connections, join as many groups as possible. The more people that we connect with, the wider net that we cast, the more options we have for other connections, second and third degree. The more groups we join, when we go to connect with somebody, it gives us more things in common, and that's a good thing as well. To be looking for people that are payroll and to be in a payroll professional group, when you go to connect with them, you have that in common. And there's less chance that they'll say no or decline your invitation. So I want to connect with as many people as I can. I also use LinkedIn as my brand. It's for my image. Where everything I say, everything I write, my picture, my titles, everything is about excellence, everything is about championship team. When I'm interviewing people and after they come on board, everybody knows what we're all about. We're all about excellence, we're about championship. I think people want to be a part of that. So my picture talks about top producing division. My title talks about top producing division, looking to hire only the best. It's my image, it's my brand, and it's what I want to portray. I want people to see, and I want people to want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of something bigger and better. I also use LinkedIn for updates and pushing out different articles and so forth. There's lots of articles and recruiting documents that we've gotten from a recruiting team from Poly. There's one-pagers that we can attach and we can push out to everybody that we're connected with. One of my favorites is the sports team analogy. It says salary caps are for sports teams and people that don't work at Heartland. And you'll put that out and you'll get a whole bunch of different responses back, and people that like it and people that comment, and I think it's neat. It gets people thinking and wanting to know more about you and reading your profile and engaging you. I also use LinkedIn Recruiter. That's a recruiter function that we have access to, and I'll post jobs through there. I don't usually use the standard job boards, but the LinkedIn Recruiter gives you a different level of access. I'll post RM ads. I'll also post some that are specific to territory managers, where I'm actually recruiting and looking for territory managers. I've been doing that recently and having a lot of success with that as well, where people are coming to me and they want to be a territory manager. So the LinkedIn Recruiter has helped a lot, and every time you update that, it brings you back to the top. So just going in there every couple days or a couple times a week, editing something, every time you change anything on LinkedIn, everybody sees it. It can push out the update to everybody. You could change your title, you could change your picture, you could change a zip code and just move an ad over a little bit. Anytime you do any of those changes, though, it pushes all those updates out to all of your connections, and they all see it, and it keeps you visible. With recruiting is probably the number one thing that I use LinkedIn for. I try to use more of a passive style to recruiting than a kind of a standard, typical recruiter approach. A lot of the recruiters you'll see for our competitors, and they're using Bullhorn and so forth to reach out to you. They're long messages. It's lots of bullet points and very lengthy, and I just don't think people read that. I know I don't. I just skim through it. So I try to keep it short. I try to keep it personal. I try to catch people doing something right. Something I might say is, hey John, I see you are doing really well over at TransFirst, and you just won an award recently. That's awesome. Congratulations. This is just a shot in the dark, but are you locked into what you're doing, or are you keeping your options open? I can't make any promises, but we should sit down, have a cup of coffee, and see if we're a fit for each other. So I like to use their name. I think that makes it personal. I like to catch them doing something right, because it's not just your standard message that's going out to 5,000 other people. So it makes it more personal. I love the shot in the dark thing. I kind of got that from my buddy Tony Jalen, who's a division manager in Wisconsin, genius guy, and we collaborate in a lot of things. And that seems to work really well. But then I like to pull it back. I like to say, I can't make any promises, but we should sit down, have a cup of coffee, and see if we're a fit. Some people instantly they want to know more. They want to check out my profile, they see it, they want to be a part of it, they want to have a cup of coffee, they want to know more. That's great. Some people don't. But I still get a lot of responses. I still get a lot of people that come back and say, maybe not right now, or things are going pretty good, but I will keep my options open. And I actually hear from a lot of those people again. It could be a month later, it could be 6 months later, it could be a year later, but I keep nurturing them. I'll keep dripping them something, or now I'm connected with them at least, and they'll see it, and they'll start seeing the championship thing, and they'll see positive messages that I send out, and sooner or later, a lot of these people, they just want to know more. I kind of went through all my contacts, and some of the people that I see are pretty active on there and look like they do a pretty good job, and I just shot quick little messages back out to them. Hey, Happy New Year. How are things going for you over at Bank of America? I recruit a lot of industry people. I like a lot of industry people. And I just sent some of those messages out, and I had one guy come back and just say, well, another year of comp changes at Bank of America. I'd love to sit there. And I came back and said, well, things have never been better at Heartland between our leadership, our technology, the products and services that we have. It's never been better. And our compensation plan, we're going on 20 years. It's called the 94 plan. We're going on 20 years of never changing our compensation. Right after he tells me that it's been another year of comp changes at Bank of America, comes back and says, yeah, we should sit down and have that cup of coffee. Great. And so sometimes they happen quick, and sometimes you have to nurture them. But I find that most of the people that I want on LinkedIn are not just sitting home on their couch looking for a job. They're out there. They're working. They're successful. Those are the ones that I want. I like the industry folks. A lot of people think there's too much detrain and retrain for these industry people, and there's some truth to that. But I also feel that there's a lot of good people out there just working for the wrong company, whether they know it or not. Some just don't know any better. Some maybe they do, and they're just out there, long-term leases and doing some of the things that we don't necessarily do. But there's a lot of good people out there. They're just with the wrong company. And I think everybody deserves an opportunity to do things right and to work for a good company and to advocate for merchants, to do things the right way. So I like the industry people, and I think they have a good base that we can work off of. And I like to recruit them, but they don't always come over quick. They're out there, they're doing a good job, a lot of the ones that I'm looking for, and you have to nurture them. You have to take time. You actually have to recruit them and get them to want to be a part of something different. And a lot of times you're also waiting for the current company to maybe drop the ball. We know that happens. We know that compensation plans change, or they make them take their accounts and put them on different platforms, or they stop paying them their residuals as much, or there's always these changes, and a lot of times it's just a matter of time. And it could be a year later, but if you keep nurturing them and you keep staying in touch with them, sooner or later those things are almost inevitably going to happen. And we just want to be there. We want to be there and be visible, so we get an opportunity to sit down with them. I think my passive approach is just a lot more attractive than that kind of standard cookie cutter recruiter approach that I think people just kind of glaze over when they see it. The guy took a year. I'll leave his name out, but
that's fine, yeah.
he came on board. Actually, we went through a process. I'd been recruiting him for a few months, 3 months or so. We went through the whole process, the interview process. We even went through the tryout. I even offered him the job. We were going to get going. And his other company pulled him back. They came back. They made him what he thought was a really great deal. They promised to make him a W-2 finally, because he was a 1099. That was one of the things that he wanted. They increased his salary, and they made it pretty attractive compared to what he was getting before. He kind of left me at the altar, if you will. I thought we were going to move him forward, and then he went back. It stung a little bit, because I knew he was our top guy in a certain area that I was looking to hire, and I was pretty excited because I knew I got the top competitor off the streets and over onto my team. So it's exciting, and it was a little disappointing. But I knew it would be a matter of time. You just got to kind of keep in touch and keep nurturing that. And it took about 9 months. And finally, his current company, they didn't make him, or his old company, they never made him the W-2 like they promised. The residual structure never changed like they promised. They did pay him some more of a base. But at the end of the day, they just weren't delivering on what they said. And we know that happens all the time. So it took a long time. It took 9 months. The whole process was a year to get him to come on board. And now he's top rep on my team. He's been on board for about 6 months. He's number one rookie in the United States. He put up $50,000 of margin last month. He says he's made more in 6 months here than he did in an entire year at his last company. Well more in 6 months than he did in an entire year there. But it's not easy, for some people to take that leap of faith, because he was doing really well over there too. But if you keep nurturing him, you keep staying in touch with him, they keep seeing your profile online and what we're doing. People want to be a part of that, I think. After that, I spent a lot of my time just sourcing. So I'll go into areas. You can use an advanced search. I can do a zip code. I can do a radius search around that, and then I can do keywords. When I do that, I'll get all sorts of different results. And again, that's why it's important to have lots of connections and be a part of lots of groups, because the more connections you have and the more groups that you're a part of, the more results that you're going to get. So you could go in there on any given day and search something and get X amount of results that come up. You could go and join a bunch of groups. You could have a bunch of connections, except in a week later, you could go do the same thing and have new results come up. So the more you connect with, and the more groups you're a part of, the more results that you're going to get, and that changes. So I just kind of switch it up. And I'll go to areas. I'll go to Miami. I'll go to Fort Lauderdale. I'll go to the Treasure Coast, and I'll go into different pockets, kind of switch it up, and just try some different things, and connect with people. But again, that's why having these groups that you're a part of is important as well, because when you go to connect with that person, you have something in common. If you don't have that in common, you might have to say, we worked with each other, or something like that at Heartland. Then they have an opportunity to decline it. And I've seen LinkedIn, I feel like LinkedIn's changed about this lately. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't think we could ever get them to admit it, but about a year or so ago, I actually got, you could almost say blacklisted from LinkedIn for trying to connect with too many people. If you get too many people that decline your invitation, you'll get a message from LinkedIn, and they'll basically restrict and limit your access and say that you need to now have their email address. If you get to that point where you have to have their email address, that becomes tough. It really limits how many people you can connect with, because how many email addresses for random people around your area do you actually have? I asked them if they could turn it back on. They told me I got too many declines. They agreed to do it, but that was a while ago. And now I connect with even more people. And I haven't had that happen in a long time, but maybe it's because we're a part of groups. And if you have something in common and you're looking to connect with somebody that's in the same payroll group that you are they really going to say no? And I also believe that a lot more people are using it for recruiting these days and connecting with people. So I think LinkedIn's probably loosened up a little bit with that. I think they realize that they've become a top place for people to connect and also to recruit others. And I feel like they've loosened up with that a bit. I don't worry about it at all. I connect with as many people that I think can help me get more connections as possible. I just try to have something in common with them.